Good afternoon, coolest coast. It is time for Coffee on the Coast. Good afternoon. Welcome
Sorry.
to this episode of Coffee on the Coast. I'm your host today, Tina Prigge. Welcoming back to the show, Kristin Keck of Manitowoc Public Library, who's just had a good laugh. Kristin, tell us what's going on.
No, I just saw the picture of me in the sombrero. Wow.
I love that
That
picture
was
because
so much
there's
fun.
just like joy in that photo, Kristin.
It was a white elephant gift, and when I pulled it open, I was just like, yes, this is what I've been missing all my life. Is this huge sequined sombrero.
You know,
It's now on my wall.
I wore a sombrero one time when I took my son trick-or-treating when he was like 3 or 4 years old, and it was cool
Mhm.
because people were putting candy in my hat as well as into his bucket. So,
Mhm. There's something about them. It's a lot of fun.
yeah, and I have to say, I'm gonna put the picture back up for a second because the color is so cool.
Yes, it's just a beautiful hat, and I was so happy to get it at a white elephant party, and people were like, will you trade with me?" "No, this is mine. I'm gonna wear it out of this building."
Nice. Well, as cool as that all
Mhm.
is, we are
Yes.
here to talk about something specifically for teens. You've got a teen
Mhm.
hangout that's planned. And I guess, you know, it's appropriate we're talking about a hat because this is about like the brain, right? Neurogenic
Mhm.
art. I'm
Mhm.
going to put up the screen capture because this is happening tomorrow, Thursday,
Yes.
January 18th from 6 to 7:30 p.m. Materials and snacks provided, but
Mhm.
we need to know, Kristin, what is neurographic art?
Neurographic art is essentially doodling with a purpose, and it is, specifically specifically, designed by a psychologist and creative person, whose name I'm gonna mispronounce here, Dr. Pavel Piskarov, I think.
Great.
I'm
Sounds
not
good.
entirely sure how to pronounce that. Um, in order to it's sort of doodling with focus, in order to have your mind focus enough that you can sort of free it to think about things other than what you're doing. If you're like me, and I know I am, you're one of these people that sits down to dinner on the couch with the TV going and your tablet and you're answering texts and you're doing all this other stuff. That may be too much focus for your mind to really wonder and think and process. Going to be so you won't be thinking about laundry or the silly thing you did or whatever. You're just going to focus on the art, and it's very simple art. That's the other thing. If you've doodled squiggly lines, if you've drawn a little stick figure in the corner of your page while you're waiting on hold or while you're taking notes, you're already familiar with this concept, with this process. It's just something to keep your mind in the present while it thinks about other stuff too.
Cool. So a
So,
fun way to free
mhm,
your mind so that
mhm,
by freeing it, it can actually do other things, right? Like, and
mhm.
I think that's totally true. I've doodled before, right? While talking on the phone or having
Yeah.
a conversation or in a meeting, and it just allows you to, I don't know, connect with yourself in a different way. So you
Mhm.
don't have to be an artist to take part in it.
No. That's the really great thing. Because it is very abstract and freeform, you don't have to that it removes the worry of does this look right? Because the answer is always yes. Of course it looks right. This is where your mind is going and you have followed it there. That's perfect. Um, there is a mindfulness component that we won't get into as much because I am not a trained psychologist. it is just it is just if you want to, before you start your art, while you're looking at your piece of paper, so you have that's not a good one because it's got stuff on the back. So you have the blank piece of sheet of paper, and you can write a thing that you're thinking about, or something you're worried about, or something like that on the back of the paper. And then you're going to turn the paper over and make art on the other side. Now, that thing is still there. And if you run across a new solution or a new way of thinking about it while you're doing art, then that's great.
Mm.
Um, or you can just skip the word altogether and just go directly to the art, which is very relaxing. It
Yeah.
really is. It's just I've added this to my end of the day stuff. So I turn off the TV and I put my phone aside and I put my tablet down. I do eat dinner beforehand because it's hard to eat and draw at the same time. But and then I just kind of relax into it. and it is very relaxing. So
we're talking neurographic art, and so you've showed us that this is happening on paper. Can you show us some examples? Like, what does that mean? What does somebody do on the paper?
well, what you're going to do, let me take a pen. You're going to make a line. So just a line. That's not the best line. It is the best line. It's just where it goes. You're going to make another line. So you have another line. And then you're going to round off the corners of the line. And it's just going to make anything that's a sharp corner soft. And you will notice that it looks a little bit like a neuron in the middle there. So it's just a little bit like a neuron. Now you're going to add many lines to it. And as you add lines, you're going to round off each corner. So there's no sharp corners. Everything goes together. And then it's going to look something like this. This is one that I did on dark paper, obviously, with a white gel pen. We will have all of these materials. We'll have the white gel pens. This is Sharpie that I colored in with. I just traced the inside of a duct tape roll to make the circle. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's good when the lines kind of swell and fade. And yeah, it looks a little bit like the neurons in your brain. And in theory, you're going to make new connections as this happens. In practice, you're going to relax and look at the colors, the way the patterns move on the page, and just relax into it. Now, if we make new connections in our brain, that's great. I mean, that's obviously a plus. But mostly it's about the colors and the relaxation. This one is obviously just black and white and blue because that's all I had at that moment. But this one has a lot more color.
Ooh.
Yes. I'm not sure if that's,
yeah.
There we go.
And Kristin, did you make all of those lines, or did someone? Okay.
No, I made all these lines. I started with a blank piece of paper and just made, kind of forgotten which was the first line. I think it was this long one that, this long one that curves up and around and comes down this way, just like that. The idea is that they shouldn't be, well, they can be right angles, but if you're going for the most relaxation, this is just, I followed where the pen took me. If I started to notice it going in a particular direction, I would change the direction. So it really does wander all over the page. And then the colors are colored pencil. The patterns I did with edge of a Post-it note pad, actually, something like that.
Yeah.
And just added those little bits. This one down here was, I think, the bottom of my tea canister. So
it's cool. I love it. It's so colorful, and I love the lines versus the circles. And it's interesting because both pieces you've shown us have had circles and have had the neuron kind of lines, but they're distinctly different pieces.
Different moods, different places. I did this one mostly at home when I was experimenting. I did the blue one at work when I was experimenting here with the gel pens to see if they all worked. And then I did this one, and this has straight lines. So this is just the inside of tape rolls again and a ruler. And I did this one at work too when I was experimenting with a different kind of thing.
I love it.
Don't have to put any, I don't want to say you don't have to put any thought into it, but you don't want to consciously think this has to look like something. If it reminds you of something, and weirdly enough, this one reminds me this way. I took a picture of a parrot somewhere, and it reminds me, the colors reminded me of a parrot. Once I'd finished them, I thought, oh, I know where that came from, because the greens and the blues and the reds of around his eyes were just, that's what it reminds me of. But it doesn't have to remind you of anything.
So what medium did you use on this one?
This one was watercolor. We will have watercolor paints as well. Again, the black is all just Sharpie. It's watercolor paper, which we have. All of the ones we do will be slightly smaller than this because this took me about 2 hours off and on throughout several days to do. We will be doing smaller ones because sometimes a great big plain piece of paper can be intimidating. So we'll do smaller ones to start.
So you had this blank piece of paper. How did you start this cool one that you're showing us right now?
The cool one that is,
Did you start with
Um,
circles, with lines? Like, how did you approach the paper?
I started with circles, and I just put several around on the page in kind of the way that felt right to me. And then I took the ruler and just started lines through them. And I like odd numbers of things because I think that's more organic and more natural. So there are odd numbers of lines. I think there's 5 across the bottom and 7 up the side or something like that. But again, it was very instinctual.
Yeah.
So, and that's the point. You're tapping into your instincts here, because we all have an instinct for art, but we don't think about it because, well, 2 reasons. We think we have to make it look like something. No, it doesn't have to look like anything. It can be abstract and all about the color and the durations of color and the way the colors work with each other and the way the lines make a pattern that seems to resonate with us. It doesn't have to look like a horse or whatever. And 2, we have this very strange conception that in order to be good at anything, we have to make money doing it. So we should make art all the time. Everybody should make art. Or it's like singing in the car. Everybody sings in the car along to with the radio. When your favorite song comes on, you just sing and dance. But very few people describe themselves as singers or dancers. We do it all the time, but we don't make any money at it. We do it all the time. We're all singers. We do art all the time. We do these little doodles and we draw things. We're all artists. We need to do that. And this is an easy way to tap into that, and it's very relaxing.
Cool.
Mhm.
Teens. Kristin is here. She is
Teens.
talking to you. She's got this
Mhm.
cool teen hangout planned. It is happening tomorrow. So it is Thursday, January 18th.
Mhm.
It's an hour and a half from 6 o'clock to 7:30 p.m. at the Manitowoc Public Library. This is a way to get your calm on. You can de-stress, you can
Yeah.
relax. Guess what? All the materials that you could need and snacks are provided. The materials, Kristin was showing us some great examples, right? So she used watercolor, Sharpie, colored pencil, gel pens, right? Like everything that you need. And then you can go home with your very own piece of art, and you'll know how to keep doing this at home or wherever
Yes.
you might be.
And it's accessible to everyone, but I think for somebody who's maybe in the midst of homework and sports and all the calls that you have on your time, it's a really nice way to set aside. You can do it as little as 5 minutes. Add a little every time you go by it,
Yeah.
and it can be an ongoing process that gives you that 5-10 minutes for yourself, just quietly. And it will give you more energy throughout the day. It really will. When you take that 5 minutes and just be with your thoughts for a minute.
Yeah, and you can have a good time doing it.
Oh,
And then
yes.
you can put it inside your locker, right? So every time you go
Mhm.
inside your locker, you see that little reminder of your moment of like bliss, right? This moment
Mhm.
of calm that you've given yourself. It's a great
Oh,
treat.
yes. It
Yeah.
is a really nice extra in the day.
What do you need them to
And
do? Do teens that are going to attend this teen hangout, do they need to bring anything? Do they have to
nope,
register in advance?
nope. There's no registration. Drop in any time in that space in that time. Oh my goodness. All the words just left my head. Anytime between 6 and 7:30, drop in, grab some stuff. We do ask that the pens and whatnot stay here, but we got lots of paper. Take it home and do a little project on it. Um, Project is the wrong word. Do a little art. Do a little
Yeah.
art on everything, but do a little art on this and let yourself unwind. And, it can be as simple as you want, just a few lines, maybe a circle, it can be as elaborate as you want. Um, you can do all of the connections so that they make that neurological print, or you can do just a few lines. I mean, you can leave some of the connections sharp if you like. It's very organic, and what feels right to you. And yes, there will be snacks.
I'm hearing that there's very little rules associated with this, which is
Very,
cool.
very few rules.
And Tim did
Very
say
few
art
rules.
and snacks. Teens are so much luckier today than when I was a teen 76 years ago.
Oh, yes. But there are very few rules. Really, the rules are make the connections round. And again, I'm going to waive that. So if you don't want to make the connections round, that's okay too. But make the connections round. And that's about it. Really, that's all.
One quasi rule that's not even enforced. What
one quasi rule, but nobody is grading this. So I'm certainly not grading this. So yeah, just it's a way to let your mind focus, but also relax. And that's really nice if you've had a long day and you've been in school all day or you have a part-time job or whatever it is.
A bunch of homework.
This is a bunch of homework. This is all you time.
And what's cool too, Kristin, is you said if they show up at 6, they're not obligated to stay the entire time.
No.
Maybe it takes them 20 minutes and they're totally satisfied.
That's great. Or if you can't get there till 6:30, that's okay. We'll be there till 7:30.
Yeah.
You know. So if you just want to drop by for the snacks and talk with your friends, that's okay too. I'm not insisting anybody do art, but I'm just saying it's really fun and it really is a good break.
Yeah. So you're creating
something
a space where art can be created, where they can free their minds. The rest will follow. All right, Kristin.
I knew you were going to work that in.
Kristin Keck, Manitowoc Public Library, is planning a teen hangout. It's neurographic art happening tomorrow, Thursday, January 18th, from 6 to 7:30 p.m. No registration required. Come anytime during that time frame. Materials are provided and snacks are provided. Kristin, are we missing anything that teens should know to participate?
No, not really. Remember, you do not have to have artistic talent. Yeah. No. This is all about colors and stuff. But if you like being artistic in a slightly different way, there is a Space to Write program the second and fourth Tuesday at the library, and it's essentially the same thing, only with writing. Come in, bring your writing materials, sit down and write. So if you like being artistic that way, we got that going on too. Check the website. But there is nothing that you need to come and do this. Just bring your colors, bring your creativity, and everybody has creativity. We get really weird about that too, but trust me on this. You can tap into that. It's there inside you already.
And guess what?
Just have fun.
You get to hang out with Kristin Keck. Like, how incredible is her energy? I hope you're having as much fun as I am with this conversation.
Yes.
Kristin, thanks so much for joining us. Thanks for telling us about this event. Thanks for planning cool things for our youth to do. And we will look forward to seeing you next time here on Coffee on the Coast.
Yay! Thank you so much. I'm having a lot of fun.
My guest today, Kristin Keck, Manitowoc Public Library, inviting teens to join her for a teen hangout Thursday, January 18th, 6 p.m. For more information, visit the Manitowoc Public Library or manitowoclibrary.org. And we'll see you next time.
Thank you so much.